Welcome back. Okay. Do not talk about anything you have no experience of. I'm going to repeat. Do not talk about anything you have no experience of. You have no experience of God. Do not talk about Him. If you see God as a man, but all you know is the things you've read about Him, do not talk of this man because you have no experience of this man. You have never met him. You have never shaken his hand. You have never been invited into his home. Do not talk about him. If you see God as a man who is of a kind nature and who is of a giving and a wonderful persona, be like that. But do not talk about such a man. Do not talk about such a man you have no experience of, because all it becomes is a form of gossip, a form of imagination. What you have no experience of is simply a form of imagination. You do not need to imagine anything. Existence is so fulfilling that imagination is not needed. If you experience God as a state of existence, then talk about it as such. But if you have no experience of God as a state of existence, do not talk about God. Do not talk about the higher states of existence within conversation. Do not talk about chakras if you do not have experience of them. Leave them to people who do, because then they just become topics of conversation, topics of discussion, forms of interest. It's okay. Fine. You can go ahead and talk about chakras because they entertain you. You can talk about states of existence because they entertain you. But just understand that you shouldn't talk about things you have no experience of. You shouldn't imagine things. You exist within reality, not your made up reality, but within reality that requires no imagination. But your reality is imagination. How do you get past this imagination? Simply introduce a form of sadhana or yogasana into your life, and slowly you will come to realize that your imagination is not reality, and you will have first-hand experience of things like God and chakras and energy, and you will be able to talk about these things. But when you have experience of what existence is, when you have experience of what reality is, beyond your imaginary perception of what reality is, then your desire to actually talk about what it is almost becomes irrelevant. Your desire to talk about reality and your desire to talk about chakras almost dissipates. Only very few people want to actually talk about chakras when they do experience chakras. Very few people want to help those who are still stuck within their own imaginary world. Very few people want to help these people who are stuck to get unstuck. Very few people have the patience and tolerance, because all you want to do is ask people like me and like gurus all these weird and wonderful questions of how to experience reality using stones and crystals and drugs and all kinds of wonderful things, when existence just needs tools such as meditation and ones provided by the mystical sciences to experience it. Drugs and other forms will help you, but only for a short amount of time. When the following day comes and drugs have left your system, your experience of reality leaves with them, and all you are left with is your imaginary world. Experience reality while you're alive, because it's only while you're alive that you can. I know that things are hell. Hell, I know that very well. I know that things are flippin' tough. Human beings suffer more so than anything else on the planet. Human beings have the ability to turn pain, because pain is inevitable, but suffering is a decision. You suffer your pain if you experience reality, then your pain can remain pain. If you are so deep in reality, then your pain can remain pain. It's only when the mind leads existence that pain becomes suffering. When reality becomes your leader and the mind becomes the follower, then pain remains as pain. When the energies within your system are able to go through unencumbered, then pain will remain pain. Like I've said many times, a human being is very lucky to be able to have the ability to experience existence. We are very lucky to have the ability to be aware of existence, but we choose not to, which is okay, which is fine. But we're living half a life, and if we only choose to get involved in activities such as procreation and gathering of wealth and the gathering of worldly knowledge and making friends and this and that and all the rest, all these wonderful marvelous things, then we're only living half a life. We should be living a full life. If we live a life of intense awareness of wonderful possibilities, if we live a life where energy and awareness of that energy is the crux of our existence, then we will live beautifully. We will treat the person next to us just as we treat ourselves. If we have awareness of ourselves, through awareness, because awareness works in this way. If we move from a state of unawareness to a state of awareness, the state of awareness through mechanisms has the ability to understand not only itself, but has the ability to be aware and understand the mind as well as the body. Now, if you understand your mind and understand your body through awareness, not through worldly awareness, through energy, through spiritual awareness, through spiritual enlightenment, through not cultivated, through constant awareness. If we have done this, then we see that every single human being is exactly like us. And if we do not want to experience pain or suffering, if we only want to experience blissfulness, because we do, we want to experience blissfulness, we don't want to experience pain, we don't want to suffer, we don't want to hurt. And if we know this and experience this within ourselves, and if we've come to the point where we know that this should be like this for everyone else, then we will be able to do this. It's only when we are encumbered by identities that we see ourselves as separate entities from existence. Only when we have cultivated and built our personalities that we are separate and become more separate than existence. We exist in a state of duality, when in fact there is no such thing. This non-duality is a state where we are not apart from existence. And when we can understand this and realize this and be aware of this, that is when existence improves for all of us. It is your responsibility and your duty to do this. Either you will do this with awareness, or you will do this unconsciously, but you will become aware. Namaskar. Have a good one. Ciao.